Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube installment. My name is Rabo and welcome. I hope you join the family. Sheesh. I know the background is like, girl, where you at? I'm back at school. It is the second week of my academic year and it has been amazing. I am having the time of my life being a final year law student. All my modules are really amazing, and yeah, tell your friends that Rabo has posted another installment. So please do like, comment, subscribe, share, and do all the nice stuff, So today's installment is kind of a continuation of last week. Or the last video rather. In the last video, I spoke about one of the tips I gave was praying to God and saying, Lord, please give me a word for the year, a word that will be a theme for my year, everything that in accordance with your will. And I told you that Transformation Church phrase of the year is "Here is holy." So last year in December, I think on the 31st of December, I prayed to God and I had been seeking God and saying, like, what is the word for the year for me? And God literally gave me the word consecration. And I was like, okay, cool. Consecration, huge word. Hardly ever hear it in church, but in the few times that I did hear it, it was, being set apart, like, something that you don't touch and whatever. So I was like, I don't know how I'll go about having a year that is untouchable or whatever the case may be. And God, being the God that He is, He knew that, or in His divine knowledge, He knew that it would align with one of the churches that I follow, that their phrase of the year is "Here is holy." And through them, I've been able to really grasp what consecration is, being set apart, being holy. And Transformation Church, since their phrase of the year is "He is holy," so I've been able to live it out, and it's been amazing. It's been almost 2 months of me just intentionally saying, "Here is holy. Where I am is holy. What I'm doing is holy." I got to raise and I was placed in the same room and I was like, oh my goodness, and I was complaining so much. I was really complaining, and everyone that knew me just knew that Rabo does not want to be in her room. Okay, cool. And I remember just one day coming back to my room. I was so tired. I think this was sometime last week, and I just had that thing that, Rabo, first of all, you are in an institution. You should be grateful for that. So many things are going on with other people and complications. You are placed on campus. A lot of people do not get residence, and you have a room. You have a roof over your head many kilometers away from home. Where you are is holy. And not because the circumstances are favorable, whatever the case may be, but because God is there with you. God has set that place to be holy because He, wherever you are and wherever you bring Him, He is holy. That place is holy. And the anchor scripture for that was from Exodus 3, verse 4 to verse 6. It says, when the Lord saw Moses coming, this is to the burning bush, this is, to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush, "Moses, Moses." "Here I am," Moses replied. "Do not come any closer." The Lord warned, "Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob." When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. So this scripture, this was when Moses encountered God for the first time. He was literally experiencing God in a way that he had never experienced God before. Moses was experiencing God, or having an encounter with God, for the very first time, right? And it was an amazing encounter. It was one where he was really in awe of what he was in the midst of. The bush was burning and not being consumed, and here God is calling his name out and saying, this is holy ground, take off your sandals. If you hear noise in the background, it's because there are cleaners cleaning the bathrooms, and yeah, they're just really going about their business as I go ahead with mine. And so Pastor Mike, when he brought and he was teaching on this subject, he said that Moses' answer to God when God called out to him was, here I am, Lord. And that suggests to availability, that are you available for what God has called you to do? And I was like, okay, cool. So in consecration, I need to be available. I need to avail myself to the will of God in my life. And I was like, oh, this is, yeah. And and God has spoken to me at length on availability. And this week has just been a week where I really, really just had to be available. Pastor Mike introduced me to the song that I really didn't know, which is Lord, I'm available. So the lyrics of the song says, Lord, I'm available to you. My heart I give to you. I'll do what you tell me to do. Use me, Lord, to show someone the way and enable me to say, my storage is empty. I am available to you. And that has been the theme of this week, that I woke up with that song in my spirit and I played it, and I read scriptures and I listened to sermons, and I just really spoke to God about it. And God has been really tuning my availability to do the work that he's called me to do, to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ. And I was like, okay, cool. And the second part of that is where God says to Moses, do not come any closer. The Lord warned, take off your sandals, right? So taking off your sandals. Pastor Mike took off his shoes while he was preaching, and he was like, this is a symbol, or a symbol of vulnerability, because when Moses had his shoes on, he could walk on grass, he could walk on rocks and whatever and not feel anything. He could literally. So when you have your shoes on, even as you go on your daily life, you put on your shoes not only to look nice, but your shoes serve a purpose in your everyday life, to protect you from the elements, from the ground, whether the ground is rocky, it's thorny, or whatever it's wet and slippery or sticky. Your shoes protect you from that, and your shoes, the sole of your shoes, gather everything that you have passed through. So you can look at the sole of your shoe at the end of the day and say, oh, this is where I've been. But when you take off your shoes and you walk in the path that you've walked in, you don't really experience it the same, because you feel it more. If you're walking on a thorny trail, you feel the thorns poking you, and you become uncomfortable, it becomes painful. If you're walking on just smooth ground, you feel that and it feels soothing to you. So what vulnerability requires of us is to be present in that moment and feel. So when I sat in my room last week and I was just like, oh my goodness, I am in this room again and I don't want to be in this room. I had to feel that. I felt in that moment, I felt like I was being overlooked. I felt like, oh my goodness, I'm stagnant. I'm in the same place. But it was not that. And I had to surrender all of those feelings to Christ and say, Lord, I really don't want to be in this room, but I'm here. And whatever the emotions that are coming out of the situation, I choose to feel them, and I choose to hear and feel what you're saying to me about the situation. In that moment, I had to deal with my entitlement. I thought I was entitled to having a better room because my friend had this huge room, and I say it's huge, but it's not really huge. So she has this huge room that I really, really liked, and I was praying towards that room. Like, Lord, can they please give me this room? And they literally placed everyone in the same rooms, and I was like, And then I found out that my other friend was moved to that room, and I was like, but I wanted that room. How could I not have gotten that room? And God was just like, no, you are placed where you are placed, right? You have to manage that situation well, whether you're going to appeal or whatever the case may be, but that's where you were placed. There where you are is holy. So you need to deal with that. And I was like, oh my goodness, Lord. And it was just a learning moment for me where I had to lean to God and say, I surrender feeling so entitled to things that are not of you. You know, it seems like such a small thing, but I had to interrogate my entitlements towards that. I had to investigate and interrogate me not wanting the space. What about the space says gotta leave? I'm like, oh my goodness, it's a dark room, it's cold, there's many things that I don't want this room for, but I have a room. I had to sit in the gratitude of having a room, a space where I call my own. I'm not sharing with anyone, I'm not fighting with anyone for anything. I literally have a place to rest at night, to do whatever it is that I wish to do. So I was just like, I'm grateful. I had to sit in gratitude for a week and a bit and just say, Lord, yeah, my will I give to you. I'm available to what you are trying to do in my heart, because I know that I'll probably get another room, but I don't want to ever leave this room and saying, yeah, I left that dark room. No, I'm leaving a room that has served me for almost a year, right? And I was just like, that is so good. So the next part is where God says, for you are standing on holy ground. So here God is saying to Moses, so for you are standing on holy ground. Moses was probably saying, oh my goodness, okay, I'm taking off my shoes. Why? Because he had to be sensitive to the environment in which he stood in. It might have been the normal bush that he always took his sheep to as he was a shepherd, but because of what God had done, he had brought himself that he was encountering God, and the bush was burning there because God had come there. The ground became holy ground. So it's the sensitivity that God requires us for certain things. So I had a lecture for social security, and our lecturer was she told us to draw an elephant, and she said that social security is something that you can't really define, right? You can't really define it because it is different to every demographic and every country. And she told us that because the elephant that I drew was literally just the front, you could only see the ears, the tusks, the trunk, and two of its legs. The other person drew the elephant from the side profile, and she says it's the different perspectives of the whole social security system that you get to piece together what exactly is going on. And with sensitivity, it's the same thing, that what you see with God and what you have seen God do, you are able to be sensitive to that. When you've seen God help you through grief, you can be sensitive to a person that is grieving, because you know God is a comforter. You can send them scriptures on how God comforts you. If you see a person going through a difficult time, whether financially or whatever, you can be sensitive towards that, because you have this level of awareness of that situation. So it was that God had to bring Moses to that level of sensitivity, that are you aware, not just awareness that you are standing on holy ground, but you can feel it, like you are supposed to feel it. It's a field that you've always been in, but it's different now. Are you that aware? Are you that sensitive enough to feel and sense the change, right? So sensitivity speaks to your senses, right? So can you sense the change? And I was like, oh my goodness, okay, this is mind blowing. So in my year of consecration, I need to be available. I need to be available to the will of God, to what God wants to do in my life, right? I need to be vulnerable. I need to be open to God. I need to take off the things that stop me from engaging with God on certain levels, because there are things that sometimes, as a person that was really religious, I was like, I can't talk to God about that. So that's changing. I need to be vulnerable with God, because He's the only person that can ever really help me, right? Because even though He knows everything about me, it is my vulnerability towards Him that changes the whole situation. Because I'm saying to God, when I'm vulnerable, I trust you enough to help me with this. And thirdly, it's sensitivity to the environment that you're in, sensitivity towards the person that you're talking to the situation that you're in. So it's just being sensitive. So I was just like, those are 3 really helpful things that I'm going to take on this journey of consecration, of knowing that here is holy, where I am is holy. I need to be available to this very moment, be vulnerable to feel whatever it is this moment wants me to feel, and sensitive enough to say, okay, this is what is happening. Why is this happening? What is God trying to do? Is God trying to move my attention from one thing to another? Is God trying to tell me something? Is God trying to remove something from my heart? Because now, and with the whole res and room thing, I saw, because I became available and vulnerable enough and sensitive, I saw that God was trying to remove the entitlement that I had towards the situation, right? And consecration being the theme, or here is holy, the sub-theme is that it's the year of intentional limitations. So there are going to be things opportunities that you are going to be coming into, friendships, whatever, but even with just your lifestyle, intentionally limiting yourself. So with me, I love food, and I said as much that I really, really love food, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy partaking in it, because it's the whole experience for me. Food is not just about the taste, it's like the whole experience. So for me, I had to limit myself in the way that I eat, not because I'm trying to lose weight or anything, just because I had the tendency of saying, oh, this food is so good, and I'd sit and I'd eat 2 bowls of something, and that was not good for my body, first of all, but it was just not good for me, because I then tend to take that lack of discipline and lack of not knowing my limits when it comes to food and saying, okay, you are full now, like you are full, you are satisfied, stop eating. I'd take that and put it into other areas of my life that then you just seem like a person that lacks discipline. And I'm like, girl, chap, no, stop it. I'm not doing that anymore. So consecration is a huge one. It is something that I personally feel like this year is going to be one challenging year, because it's not something that is inherent in us. It is something that you constantly have to seek. And yeah, that is just what I had to share today. I just thought to come and just share what has been happening in my life the past 2-3 weeks. And since I asked or advised that you pray and ask God, it is never really too late to ask God the theme of the year, right? Because there's still so much time. Talking to God doesn't have a timestamp that if you don't do it now, it's not going to happen. So comment down below, what do you have heard from God, what God has said the theme of your year is, and how you are going about implementing it. Do you have resources to help you? Because sometimes it's something that is outside of your comfort zone. It's something that you intentionally have to seek out. Do you have resources? Do you need community? What is going on? Comment down below. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to put on your notification bell to know when I have another installment, and have a great week further. I love you, and I pray that this community grows. Bye.